Alright, hello everybody out there in YouTube land. If you've been around my channel for any amount of time, you have probably seen this video, or maybe this video, if you were around here longer. But what I have learned recently is that I am an idiot. Installing Windows 95 in a virtual machine suite such as Oracle VM VirtualBox, which is what I was using before, or VMware, which is another common one, or in the older days, Microsoft Virtual PC, which, I guess that's still around, but certainly not up to date anymore. The problem with those was that those programs have direct access to your computer's hardware, meaning it runs Windows 95 basically on your modern computer hardware, which can cause all kinds of issues. And I had enough workarounds to where the OS would boot, but at the same time, it was not ideal. The OS ran way faster than it should, didn't really feel authentic at all, and just the fact that those virtualization suites were designed for productivity purposes and not for retro gaming or anything in that regard caused its own set of issues. One of those issues is that the Sound Blaster 16 support on VirtualBox does not appear to properly support synthesis, which in and of itself is bad enough. Other suites probably don't support the Sound Blaster 16 emulation at all, because it was an old card, and who's going to be virtualizing old operating systems, right? Well, apparently us. Anyway, the other problem is that virtualization suites do not provide graphics drivers for operating systems that old, with the exception of Microsoft Virtual PC, which did offer a graphics driver for the old Windows 9X series of operating systems, but it still ran a lot faster than you would want it to be for old games and things like that, and didn't provide the necessary hardware acceleration. So, what is the solution? Proper emulation. And that's what we're going to start with today. PCem is a very amazing piece of software that will emulate pretty much any PC-compatible computer from the original 1980s IBM PC 5150 with a 4.77 megahertz CPU and anywhere from, I think it was like 160 kilobytes of RAM to 640, something like that. All the way up to a 233 megahertz Pentium MMX with as much RAM as your computer's got. Well, with the limitation of your emulated BIOS, which can be any of the major BIOS brands from back in the day. It can also emulate proprietary graphics and sound hardware, meaning it can emulate the Sound Blaster AW32 among a few other specialized sound cards, and almost every major VGA chipset on the market at the time, including just the basic CGA and EGA cards for the IBM PC. You will see that its emulation support is amazing, and especially considering that it also will emulate up to a Voodoo 2 with 4 megabytes of video memory, I believe. First off, I do need to say that this is legally questionable, at least the fact that I'm giving you access to these files, but if anything weird happens, I will remove the link. But if the link does have to be removed, you can get them from a page that looks like this. I will not show you anything more than that, but that's what it looks like. You can find it for yourself. And that's only so that you know which thing it is, not some other malware-infected site or something like that. Anyway, you want to extract the file is PCem v13win.zip. You can get this from the PCem website. Link in the description below. And the number might be different. Whatever the current version is the one you want. But this is the newest one that's out at the time of this video is version 13.1. Go ahead and extract it to any folder. I'm extracting it to my tertiary hard disk here. Go ahead and close it once it extracts. Then open the BIOS file. This says version 11, but it works just fine with newer versions because they're just ROM files. Go ahead and extract it to the exact same file, or folder, excuse me. right there. It's going to ask you if you want to replace files. Say yes to all. And there's that. The link for this file is also in the description below. Go ahead and move these to my folder over here. And let's get started. Okay, now on the virtual software side of things, you're going to want a copy of Windows 95. I will be using this build of Windows 95, known as Windows 95C OSR 2.5. You will also want a Windows 95 boot disk, which I believe I have somewhere around here. Hello? Oh, there it is. I'm going to link to this because I actually extracted this from a bootable Windows 95 CD. But not only did most computers back then, including our emulated computer here, not support booting from CDs, but bootable Windows 95 CDs were very uncommon, so I went ahead and extracted the image from it. You'll probably also want Windows 95 Microsoft Plus, which is a very tiny download, but I'll link to that as well. There it is, Microsoft Plus for Windows 95. Oh, that's actually zipped. I don't know where the file is. Must be up here. There it is, yeah. So, I will have all of these resources available in the description of the video. But let's go ahead and get started here. Go to the folder where you extracted your PCem and run the emulator. Oh, this is new. Last time I used it, I just downloaded the newest version for the purpose of this video. I had been using version 12, and it did not have this configuration utility. Well, create a new configuration. I'm going to name mine Windows 95. Fancy. This program is really shaping up. It used to be really sketchy. That's the word I'm looking for. Why couldn't I think of that? Anyway, I'm going to choose the AMI WinBIOS 486. And the CPU, I'm going to pick an AMD AM486DX280, just because that is the CPU that I personally own in real life. You don't have to select that. You can pick any of these, but what I would watch out for is when you get to a very high clock speed, the emulator will actually start to lag, because emulating these things is not as easy as you would think. Go ahead and check this. But for memory, I'm going to put in 32 megabytes. That's more than enough for Windows 95. The whole OS can run on 4. For sound capabilities, I would pick Sound Blaster 16, just because it's the most basic support that you'll probably need. The Sound Blaster Raw 32 needs its own driver set that is not included with Windows 95, and I don't have that on hand. Wow, they've added even more. Now for the hard disk, you want to pick a standard IDE here. Floppy disk drives, you don't need to change those. Go ahead and create the hard disk by clicking that little new button there. So we got 63 sectors, 16 heads, 2448 cylinders. 1.2 megs, perfect. Go ahead and browse to place the file somewhere. I am going to put it in the same directory as PCem. And I'm going to make a hard disks folder. Going to name it Win95. Click OK. It might take several seconds to allocate the space, but once it finishes, there we go. This is a lot nicer than it used to be. You need to set at least one drive to CD-ROM right here. I forgot about that. Otherwise, you won't be able to use the CD. Moving right along. Mouse settings. You can just pick here, based on your personal preference, which one you want. Mouse Systems Mouse on Windows 95 I think needs its own driver, so we're going to leave it at Microsoft for now. Joystick. This is cool. I haven't messed with the joystick support much before, but you can properly emulate a joystick if you want. Network card. We don't need network on Windows 95. We're good. Alright. Go ahead and click OK. Go ahead and run or load the configuration. Also skipped over the video preferences area. We are going to leave it at slow VLB PCI. We'll put it on fast. Why the heck not? And we're going to pick the Tsing ET4000AX because this was actually just a good, reliable card. Trident cards are fine, but they are slow. I don't know if the emulation actually properly reflects that, but what I do know is that I have a Trident TGUI 9440 card in real life, and it is the slowest piece of crap in the world. So we're going to leave it at this. And apparently, if you don't have Voodoo Graphics ROM, I guess, you can't even use the option. So forget that part for now. I don't actually even know where I could get the drivers just yet. So go ahead and load the configuration now. And it is very accurate to real proper emulation. So you're going to get a CMOS memory size mismatch and run setup utility. And I picked the fancy BIOS that everybody loved back in the day. So what we're going to do here is we're going to check the date and time, which is synchronized, although it says 1918 because this is not a Y2K compliant BIOS. The only Y2K compliant BIOSes supported in emulation by this software are PCem BIOSes, so yeah, that wouldn't have been much help to us. You can enable the 1 megabyte memory test in the BIOS here if you want. You don't really have to, but I personally think that's probably a good idea. You don't even really need to test it at all. Why the heck not also enable the floppy disk drive seek? Let's just make this as authentic as possible of an experience. Again, this isn't really necessary. You just need to enter the setup and actually detect the hard disks, which we'll do in a minute. That's all you really have to do. There's nothing of interest in here. Go ahead and go over here, double-click Detect C. There it is. Okay, that's right. Since we picked a 1.2 megabyte hard drive, we do need to enable hard disk logical block address translation, or LBA for short, which is all the way down here on the advanced menu. And yes, this is exactly like you'd have to do it in real life if you had a system with this BIOS, and I personally actually do. So once you're finished with this, click the little yellow square up in the top left, save changes and exit. Alright, click the middle mouse button to release the mouse because we need to go ahead and put in our boot floppy. I need to put my mouse tracking speed up a little bit. Size this down for the video. I'm going to pick this one. I think this is the right one. We're about to find out. CD-ROM is disabled. But why? Anyway. I think this will force it to reset, but better than letting it boot up first, I guess. Find your Windows 95 CD and open it up here. Click OK to reset PCem. And one thing that might annoy some people is that for compatibility reasons, it does emulate floppy disk drive speeds. And 3.5-inch drives were light years ahead of 5.25-inch drives, but that doesn't make them that much better. I just didn't explain what I was doing there. You push enter, you click configure unallocated disk space, and you click yes for large disk support. And let me just make sure. Oh, well, I guess I can't make sure. And here we go. Windows 95 setup. Continue. Click yes for the license agreement, obviously. On this screen, click next. Next again. And now we play the waiting game for a few seconds. Click custom. Yeah, we'll click custom. Some versions of Windows 95 experience odd difficulties if you don't install every component, so that's what I'm going to do here just to be safe. Oops. Screwed that up. Oh. Used to be really good at that. Yeah, I have that code memorized. I am bad at typing today. Yeah, and use that code, feel free. But you can also use the one on WinWorldPC.com, which will be on the linked download page for Windows 95. Right here. Yeah, we will do that. We got a sound card, so check that box. And this will take a good while. Alright. And at this screen, what we should probably do is, one by one, uncheck and recheck each of these to make sure everything gets installed. Why am I installing everything? Because Windows 95 is very weird. What the? And sometimes will give you strange error messages if you don't install every component. It beats me, but that happened in one of my previous attempts of recording one of my old videos. I remember that very clearly. Right here, change primary network logon to Windows logon. And we'll keep going. And it detected the graphics card properly. And now all we need to do is select a monitor. So scroll down until you find monitor, click change, and we will pick Super VGA 800 by 600. You can pick bigger than that if you want. I'm just picking that so that it will fit in the video. I do not want to start up disk. This part will go relatively quickly, but not near as fast as it did on a virtual machine. for a second. I thought we might have been frozen. Thank goodness we aren't. Alright. Go ahead and click Finish. Oh. Remove your floppy disk by clicking Disk, Eject Drive A, and then click OK. Getting ready to run Windows 95 for the first time. And we could run into a disk or a CD-ROM driver problem here. I have before on both physical machines and emulated machines, but sometimes it doesn't happen, so we'll just have to wait and see. And if it does happen, well, yeah, go ahead and type a username. You don't have to put a password, but you can if you want to for some reason. We'll see if it happens. And if it does happen, I will show you how to fix it. Yes, we're getting plenty of hourglass. Hourglass intensifies. Holy freaking crap. No, really though, what's happening? Okay, there we go. I guess we didn't have any plug-and-play devices, which means luckily it didn't need to access the CD-ROM right here. That's good to know. Time zone. I am in Central Time. Configuring Windows messaging. As soon as you'll let me, I would like to cancel this. Yes. Go ahead and cancel that. Alright. Looks like we've got sound on our Sound Blaster 16. And for those who don't know, Windows 95 has a very inconvenient way of handling file exploration. Every time you go into a folder, it launches a new window. Some people don't know how to fix this, so for those who don't, just open a window. First of all, click View and then Toolbar so that this shows up. And then click View, go to Options. I pick this second option right here, and I'm going to go to View and Show All Hidden Files. And I'm going to uncheck the box that says Hide MS-DOS file extensions for file types that are registered, whatever the heck that says. There we go. And then apply OK. So now I can browse the file system like any sane person would. Alright, good to go. Go ahead and go to CD-ROM and pick Empty. And I'm going to maximize my resolution and color depth on my display. Looks like we can support 24-bit color, which is good. Oh, well, if you pick 800 by 600, it goes down to 16-bit, it looks like, on this card. That's okay, 16-bit is more than enough. But I would like more desktop space. Windows is going to go ahead and change some configuration files and restart because Windows 95. Don't you love that sound? And I think it might sound a little bit better if you go to Audio Properties and pick CD Quality. I think that's how you do it. I'm going to go ahead and turn the volume here all the way up. I'm going to go ahead now and install Microsoft Plus. Again, you don't have to do this, but it does improve the Windows 95 experience by quite a good amount. Here it is. Thought? Yeah, there. Getting the hiccups now. Great. There we go. Install Plus. The CD key, I think you can just do 111 111 1111. Yep, that's it. Okay. Custom, select all. And some of this will error out because we're running a newer version of Windows 95 than this version of Microsoft Plus was designed for, but hey. Yeah, Drive Space 3 will not be installed. I would recommend clicking yes here. Well, actually, it doesn't really matter. It's a virtual computer. It's not going to be left on very often anyway. So, I'm going to click no. And then you'll probably want to just disable System Agent. You probably could have just not installed it, but I didn't think to do that. That's funny. And there you have it. Once you click OK on that box, you can pick a theme if you want. I am going to pick the Windows 95 theme here, just because I think it looks really cool. Go ahead and pick OK. I actually meant to pick the More Windows theme. Oh well, this one looks nice too. One telltale sign that your graphics driver is installed properly, which did not show up on VirtualBox, is that animated mouse cursors actually do animate, and they aren't two-color. I'm not entirely sure why the fidelity of the sound is so terrible, but maybe that setting I changed will have fixed it after a reboot. That could be a PCem problem as well. Maybe I need to change a setting in there, but regardless, it sounds passable. And there you have it. You got full color icons. You got Microsoft Plus. You have a nice Windows 95 computer here. And just to double check that MIDI synth and everything is emulating properly, let's find Canyon.mid. That sounds like some 4-operator FM. It's not perfect, but it's something. we go. So there you have it. Windows 95 in PCEM. This is a very nice way to have this all set up. I don't have a lot of time on my hands right now, so I'm just going to wrap this up. I'm not going to actually demonstrate a game running, but theoretically, anything you throw at this should work just fine. So, alright. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Oh, doesn't even shut itself down.